All right. Hey, good afternoon and happy spring. I'm really excited today to be kicking off the first installment of the GF webinar series where we're talking about surface intelligence. So taking those materials and making sure that you're matching the materials for the right job. Really excited again about this kickoff for the program here. We got a lot to cover, a lot of information, so we are just going to dive right into it. All right. So, have you ever loaded a mystery roll of vinyl onto your printer? Like you've got three jobs to get done today, and you just decide, all right, cool, let's go, rip and ship, right? You got a window decal, you got a mural on a brick wall, and a partial wrap on a customer's trailer, gloss white perm, no problem, let's go, right? It'll be fine. But yep, that's crazy. We got that. You wouldn't deliberately grab a generic material and force it into all these crazy different applications because that's going to cost you. It's going to cost you in rework. It's going to cost you in materials, probably cost you in reputation too. Here's the honest question. Do you ever do a version of this? Do you try that one size fits all? Do you run on application autopilot or just default to whatever's on the shelf? And I'll tell you, we all have defaults. The question is not whether we have defaults. The question is whether it's intentional. Is it because it's familiar? Is it because it's easy? Or is it because it's deliberate? Does the material actually match the job? Has it been vetted with good questions, repeatable experience, and it's defensible versus just what I use the phrase accidental success? I use this material for this particular application and it worked, but it was applied without intention. And when we do that, that's like, oops, but with a lucky outcome or good branding. Maybe it's not gloss white permanent vinyl, right? Maybe it's the go-to grayback Aerograss permanent adhesive, like your Swiss Army knife film that you've used 100 times, and you spec it on a wall because it's worked before, right? You don't have time to second guess it, so just do it. And it's fine, right? Right? The thing is, the wrong material, like we said before, it can cost you. Whether it's from under-specifying and risking performance or over-specifying and wasting money. We don't really, in those situations, match the material to the application. We're just guessing. And I'm making the case today that being deliberate and being intentional is good business. As we dive into the substance of the webinar today, I want to clarify some things. Number one, this is not a product catalog, and it's not an install technique demo video. It's not meant to be an exhaustive review of all the options available for a particular application. I mean, for sure, products will come up, but the focus today is on how we think before we ever even touch a product. That's the whole game. What we're going to work through today is a framework. It's one that moves you from what you think to what you know. It's a set of questions, and really, it's a habit of curiosity. If you know me, I push on be curious. It's a habit of curiosity that helps you narrow the field fast and make a recommendation that you can actually stand behind. So my goal for the webinar today is to take us from this idea of a surface intelligence where we just look smart citing data or whatever to actual surface intelligence where we're understanding why we're choosing the material for that particular application because we understand what it's sticking to, right? And we'll walk through a few key questions. I've got a couple scenarios lined up. And really, it's a way of thinking that works later today. It works on the next job and hopefully every job after it. Before we get into the question, though, I like to back up one more step. We're all on common ground. There's a common problem regardless of what we're doing. This question or these questions we're going to go through really only make sense if we're clear on what we're actually trying to do. It's this. I have a job to do, in this case, a graphic to stick, and I only want to do it once. This is true regardless of what you're installing, who your customer is, or what material's sitting on the shelf in front of you. This is it. This is the goal. And everything else that can go wrong on a job, every callback, every rework, every edge that lifts 6 weeks after the install, traces back to one of the 4 things we didn't understand well enough before we started, right? We misread the surface because we didn't know what we're sticking to. We have a material mismatch because we messed up that whole answer of what we're sticking with. We had a process gap because we didn't know how we were applying it or what the circumstances or the environment was where we were putting it, or we were just ignoring the risk. We ignoring or unaware of the risk because we didn't ask what could go wrong. This is key. And so I put together a list of questions, 7 questions to address those things systematically. Before the squeegee comes out, before the material gets ordered, before the customer's standing there, this is the framework. All right, let's walk through it. So number 1, what surface are you sticking to? And for me, this is the linchpin. And also, it sounds obvious. It's not. When I say surface, I don't just mean, well, it's a wall or it's a window. We have to dig in a little bit more than that. What's the physical characteristic of that surface? We talk about high surface energy versus low surface energy. You know, those high surface energy things that really like stuff sticking to it. It's easy to adhere to. Adhesive wets out really well. Versus low surface energy plastics and powder coated metals and Teflon and those kinds of things where stuff doesn't like sticking to it so much. So the adhesive has to fight to grip and to hold and to stay. And we need to look to specialty solutions. And that's just the surface characteristic. What about the surface texture? Whether it's flat, smooth, textured rivets, moderate curves, complex curves, we're doing different things on that surface that require our material solution, our solution to change based on the characteristics of what we're sticking it to. It could be smooth glass or smooth painted walls or a textured wall or a rigid corrugate material, vehicles and all that. The surface tells you what the film needs to be able to do physically. How conformable it needs to be, how aggressive the adhesive needs to be, what the install method is going to look like, even some of the pitfalls and dangers that you might need to watch out for as you're doing that. And if you get this one wrong, if you don't ask this question, well, the other questions kind of lose their point of reference, right? I think of it this way, that the surface is the job description. The film you choose is the candidate, and you wouldn't hire somebody for the job without running them through the paces to make sure that they're actually a good match for the job. Let's take, for instance, glass. You know, direct details about the glass where it's high surface energy. Adhesive bonds really well to it. If I use an adhesive that's super aggressive, I lose any repositionability on that material, and I also make my cleanup and removal that much more difficult. If I use a low tack adhesive on a smooth painted wall, I might not get that initial adhesion that I need to make sure that my adhesive or that my graphic is successful long term. Again, asking those questions, what surface are you sticking to, is the first filter, and everything kind of branches from here. The next one, and I kind of combined 2 and 5 in there, of how long does it need to last and is a laminate involved? I combine these because really in practice, they're part of the same conversation. Duration drives almost every material decision downstream. Whether it's a 3-day trade show graphic or a 5-year brand install at a hair salon, you know, on the wall behind the shampoo sinks things, they're both wall graphics, but they're not the same job. One needs to look good for a weekend and then come off clean, and the other one needs to hold up for years and through cleaning crews, humidity cycles, and bumps and abuse, right? It's not exactly the same, but knowing what it's going to experience, what kind of abuse it's going to go up against, you know, and how long it needs to last, those are important things. Speaking of laminates, I do want to just take a minute that laminate is part of the material system. It's not an afterthought. We think about the laminate as the protection over the ink layer with the base film and the adhesive. You know, again, it is a little bit of a UV protection or chemical resistance functional surface there on the top. My take is that anything that's going outside for more than a year really should get a laminate. Most inks are rated for around 2 years outdoor durability, but when we're looking at the film and the adhesive that are doing the work here underneath, we want the laminate there to extend the life of the whole system, not just the print, because again, it's part of that material system. It can also change the way that the material handles, which can affect things like conformability on textured surfaces, and can sometimes add sort of functionality to it with like an anti-graffiti or a dry erase laminate. Laminate's an important part here. It's not just about protection of the ink. It's about the material and the function, the handling of it as well. I will add just a little caveat. Make sure that you're using a laminate that's at or above the level of the base film. What do I mean there? If you're using a calendared film, use a calendared laminate, or you can bump up because a cast laminate is a higher quality. You can take that calendared print film, bump it up to a cast laminate, but avoid using a cheap calendared laminate on a cast print film. I say that the material mismatch, and we can maybe get into that in another environment, but you are protecting the investment as a part of that material system, right? With your laminate, you're protecting the ink, you're protecting the base film, you're protecting the adhesive, you're adding functionality to that. The analogy I love the most is you're putting Walmart tires on a Lamborghini. You just wouldn't do that, right? You need to take care of that higher end product, protect your investment as you go through. Okay, back to this. Next up, we and this one trips people up more than any other because removable sounds like a single thing, right? Is it permanent or removable adhesive? This removable means it's not just one thing, right? It means something different on glass, where I need something that's low tack, zero residue, clean peel, easy removal over time, right? Versus a wall where I need something that's got a little more grip, needs to work with the different paint types and paint surfaces without damaging after a year on the wall, right? So I need something just a little bit different versus an OEM painted vehicle where I need it to last 3 to 7 to 8 years outdoors and then still be able to remove. Or even floors. You know, all of these different surfaces have different characteristics, and the adhesive is designed for each of those applications as well. How aggressively they bond, how clean they release, how well they're anchored to the substrate. Removable vehicle film, again, built to release from painted metal after 3 years in the sun. Wall film is built to release from painted drywall without pulling the paint with it, right? Those things are not interchangeable. Using that vehicle film on a wall is going to result in damage. Again, they're not interchangeable. So when you're evaluating material for a job, I want you to think about this, that removable is not universal. It's not just, is it removable? It's removable from what? And after how long? And what does the surface look like when it comes off? My recommendation on this is go to generalformulations.com, click on that technical data sheets link, and find the TDS for the material you're considering. Look at the recommended applications. That document is going to tell you what the manufacturer actually tested, what we tested and stand behind. If your job isn't on that list, that's not necessarily a deal breaker, but it should be a gut check moment. Gut check moments are better before the job than after, right? Okay, next question, and I know I'm skipping a few. We've got limited time here, right? Interior, exterior install. I think this one is really important. And even thinking through, and what's the environment like? Exterior applications have a hard life, man. UV exposure, temperature cycling, humidity, dirt, debris, it all puts a lot of stress on the film and on the adhesive over time. Materials that are rated for exterior use are generally engineered to handle that stress, but others, you know, let's say low-end economy films or maybe even some interior-only films aren't. The inks aren't designed for that, right? But interior doesn't mean easy either. Interior applications, I say these have their own traps where exterior, you know, you're dealing with UV and temperature cycle, moisture, humidity, exposure to elements. You've got low VOC paints with longer cure time, adhesion risks. You've got high touch areas still inside, even though it's not outdoor weather, it may be high contact points. Things, again, what does that environment look like? HVAC, where your air conditioning is. Those are things that we generally look for, and even surface imperfections. It's not that applying to a wall is, again, it doesn't mean easy. It's just a different set of variables that you have to account for than what you might for an exterior wall application. What it means is, again, you need to account for those variables. You need to establish some test protocols. You need to build up your surface intelligence and gain some experience on these things. We do have some resources on our website about both interior and exterior applications, the cure time test protocols for using material on a wall before a job, just to make sure that it grips and holds and removes cleanly. You can check that out. We'll talk about resources later. Here's what the questions are really doing together. They're not just narrowing down your material options, but I like to think that those 7 are really designing or building a picture of the whole job. Because the surface, the timeline, the adhesive requirements, the environment, all of those, like, I need to put it all together, but you'll start to see that the material that you use is just one piece of a larger ecosystem, because it includes how the graphic gets designed, how it gets installed, what tools and prep do you need, and that risk one of what happens if something goes wrong. For right now, just know that asking these questions before you spec a job is a great way to avoid issues for the designer, the installer, the client, and you. So as we work through the questions, and I know, again, I skipped some, before we do that, I really want to ask one more. Are you choosing it because it's right or because it's familiar? It's really, what's your experience with this surface or application type? Are you going into this job blind? You've never done this particular type of application before and you're just hoping for the best. And remember what I said in the opening about accidental success, about, again, reaching for a default because it worked before or you think it might work. This is really where it's important to ask the questions, to test that material and gain some experience on that. This is the question, again, that gut check. And I do ask, just be honest with yourself here. Are you putting it as a premium cast wrap film on a flat wall because it's the right tool, or because you'd rather overspend than underdeliver, right? It's the one that you trust, you've used it before, you haven't had a failure before. And that's a real calculation. I do not discount that at all. And there are jobs where it's the right call. Again, I'm just asking that question, is it right or is it familiar? And on the flip side, are you reaching for a Swiss Army film for a surface that you haven't worked with much? Because, again, you haven't had a failure with that film or it was readily available. It's not experience. That's not examined experience. That's unexamined experience. And that can be expensive. It's wishful thinking, right? It's just, I'm just putting this one out here as kind of that double check, just to make sure you're making good choices, right? So a few critical questions that we ask: what surface, how long, what type of film, is it permanent, is it removable, does it need a laminate, is it inside or outside, is there anything special that we need for this, anti-graffiti, non-slip, those things. 7 questions that you can keep in your pocket, and you can know why every single one of them is there. And if you answer those, you've basically just narrowed down the entire product landscape down to just a handful of real candidates. Not because everything else disappeared, but because you eliminated the ones that were never right for the job to begin with. And that's when it gets easier. Okay, instead of working with 100 different products that let's slap them all up, I'm able to ask those questions and sort of filter through and narrow down my options. And that's the moment the decision gets easier. And that's what we're going to practice in the next section. We're going to get into, how does this framework, how do these questions apply in real life? So we're going to run through 2 real jobs. I'll set the scene on each of them quickly, and then we'll run through the 3 materials because I've set it up as a good, better, best. using the questions that we covered. I love doing good, better, best. It's very rare that it's like there's this one silver bullet material. This is going to work for your app for any and all applications, right? It's generally there are characteristics that I can pull from different films because it's not just about the material, it's about the job. The job includes a budget, it includes an installer, and it includes a timeline. So maintaining a little bit of that flexibility in the framework is just real life, you know. Um, so anyway, we're looking for good, better, best, and we do this not because there are necessarily wrong answers. There may be wrong answers, but there are probably dozens of solutions in this that we can make work. We're just trying to narrow down those options and get us as close as we can to something that we have experience with or something that we know will work well for the job. Okay, so demo number one or situation scenario number one, the retail window promo. So here's the job, and we ask it's a retail storefront, seasonal promotion. The graphic needs to be up for 30 days. First surface install, all that. Okay, before you even open the catalog, let's run the questions. What's the surface? Okay, we're sticking to glass. Perfect. Here's the thing to know about glass. It's actually one of the most cooperative surfaces you will work with. It's high surface energy, adhesive loves it. You could stick just about anything to clean glass and get good bond, which is great news. But it also means that didn't really narrow down our options too much as it would have, say, on a wall or a vehicle, right? So we have to lean a little bit harder on the other questions. How long does it need to last? They want this 30 days. Cool. That eliminates for me permanent adhesive. I can already ask the question permanent or removable, and I know that I'm going to be looking for a removable film on a 30-day. I don't want my staff scraping that window in a month. So duration didn't even make a huge dent in our selection list, but it does help us think about avoiding any overspec or going to like a high-end cast, right? 30-day material, I'm firmly in the calendared family. What type of film do you need? Again, I'm thinking more of a calendared film than I am a cast film. At this, is it permanent or removable? Again, we say removable. Do I need a laminate? Not really. It's an exterior install, but that UV exposure isn't really a factor at 30 days. Maybe I need one if I'm using a thinner film and I need to laminate it to make it a little easier to handle. But generally, laminate wouldn't be needed. Is it interior or exterior install? They do want that first surface exterior. And then with that, I kind of ask on the installer side, who's doing the installation? Is it the store employee? And yes, for this particular one, it is the staff that's doing it. They're probably not super experienced with large format graphics, so it means that we want something that's going to be easily handleable. We want a material that's forgiving, and any special features, yeah, not really on something like this. So already permanent adhesive is out. Long-term UV, cast films, complex install materials, all of those are out. So what remains is something that's low tack, that's removable, that's rated or designed for glass, and it's easy to handle. Cool. All right, let's look at the characteristics of our good, better, and best options, and we can watch how each one kind of earns or loses its spot based on what we know. I had my good friend Matt Ferguson from A&M Graphics last week. He helped me with a couple of the demos on these materials. Let's watch, see what's going on. All right, Matt, so we're looking at first window application. This is the 208. This is the static cling material from GF. We have this available for screen, for offset, for NFD, as well as the wide format solution. The great part about static cling, no adhesive. And it's not actually static, it's actually super soft material on a super high surface energy surface. It's actually like a giant suction cup. Van der Waals forces at the next party that you're at. But the great part about static cling is it's accessible. Anybody can do this. It's up and down with no adhesive. You're not worried about adhesive transferring from or to anything. It's just about making really good surface contact that's going to hold it in place. Now, It's also dangerous because bad install on static cling, and you've seen it, it's bubbles all over the place. It's a rough install, but it's good for a reason. It's the most accessible and least expensive of the materials.
No bubbles on this install.
All right, great. Appreciate that, Guy. All right, so static cling, we look at that one, and again, it's easy to handle, but maybe some limitations if it's cold installs and things. So how do we combat that? How do we look at that? What's a better solution? And for that, we go look at GF202. This is just a 3.4 mil matte white polymeric removable adhesive. This is a workhorse. 30 days, no problem, way more than capable. The adhesive will give you a more reliable performance than static cling, but the limitation here, I would say, is on the film weight. At 3.4 mil, it's thin. I would either want to be controlling my process in the shop for application or probably using a laminate. For 30 days, that's way overkill, right? Thin films, they just require a little bit more caution and care during install, and that's what just makes this better. Again, I can step above some of the static cling weak spots with this, but all right, I need to be a little bit more careful and cautious with it. In the right hands, it's an excellent answer and value, and it also is printable with wide format, narrow format, offset, and screen print when, cross-platform printability. So 202 is a great option. But our best, and we're going to go back to Matt, he's going to do a little song and dance here for us on 223. This is our 6 mil matte semi-removable, semi-rigid removable. There you go. All right, this installs with 223. This is our 6 mil low tack removable film. This one takes the best spot because of the adhesive that's on it. We're looking at a lasting graphic. This can be applied even in cold temperatures. So if you're at that convenience store, 30-day promo, even if it's February, this one can handle those temperatures. On glass installs down to 20 degrees. So we like that. We like that colder weather on glass application with good install. I mean, that 6 mil, I don't need to laminate. It's perfect for that 30-day application we're talking about. All right. So when we look at that, we've got three options: good, better, best, all with their strengths and weaknesses. And all of these will work. And again, there are probably a dozen more that we can pull on that would also work. But today, again, we're just being intentional and running it through the framework to confirm. And then we test, we build up our database of experience, and we get better. We look at 208, and this is informational pulled from datasheet. A good summary there. Again, static cling, 7 mil, no adhesive, 3 months exterior. Actually, it's a little bit longer than that. But you can see this. There's sort of a progression on these of when and where they go. So what drove the choices? Duration knocked out permanent adhesives. So how long does it need to last, right? Glass opened up a whole bunch of options. Installer experience, that kind of moved us to the thicker film. And no laminate, well, that didn't change the outcome here, right? All of these are rated for short-term exterior use without it. But again, we went with 223 because of the boxes that it checked. And this is one that should be readily available in your shop. I'm going to do my one and only advertisement here in the middle of it, and it's big shameless plug. But if you're doing flat surface work that's up for less than 2 years, walls, really less than 3 years for walls, windows, general signage, the 6 mil semi-rigid film family, take a look at these. It deserves a serious look across the board, whether it's the permanent gloss, gloss or matte, the removable clear gloss, white, even the wall adhesive stuff. It's super easy to handle, beautiful print. They're all cross-platform compatible. I'd say for a lot of those everyday jobs, it's the easy answer, but it's also the right answer. Yeah, take a look at them. Okay, end of commercial, back to regular programming. We'll get on this. Okay, different job entirely. This is a hotel lobby. It's a full color brand mural that they want to put up. Let's run the question. Okay, what's the surface? What surface are we sticking to? It's painted drywall with a slight texture to it. And this is where the field kind of narrows fast. Texture means that we need conformability and or grip. Without some flexibility on the film, the adhesive really only makes contacts with the peaks of the surface, not with the valleys. So the more texture it is, the less the total contact area. Less contact area means less bond. And a film that can't bond and conform to those valleys doesn't have enough grip to compensate for that reduced contact, and it's gonna bridge over the peaks. It's not going to grip and hold onto the wall, and eventually you will end up with lifting or failure of that graphic, right? So we need something that can accommodate that. How long does it need to last? They want this 3 to 5 years indoor, ideally with some level of clean removability at the end. But the hold, again, is the priority. We don't want to destroy the wall on the way out, so we lean towards that removable, repositionable type adhesive for the wall graphics. But we do need something that's aggressive enough to hold on to that slight texture for years. And that's pretty specific. Again, as we said earlier, not all removable adhesives are built the same, right? So we need specific characteristics there. And already we've kind of gotten into knocking some things out. We've eliminated low tack adhesives. They're not going to have the grip that we need on that textured wall to be able to hold it in place. We've eliminated probably some of the monomeric calendared films that are too rigid to be meaningful on that texture. A lot of the thick films that maybe have low tack removable adhesive, I wouldn't take 223 that we just used on that window. I would not use that on a wall at all. The adhesive's not designed for it. I wouldn't use static cling. There's no adhesive. There's no chance, right? So things that are remaining, even after asking just a few of the questions, are high tack removable wall vinyls and other conformable films. All right. So let's check back in with Matt. We looked at 3 different materials here in our good, better, best. Quick 2-minute video to walk through those in real life. All right, so we're here at the Mamaki Demo Center with Matt Ferguson at A&M Graphics, and we're looking at the good, better, best solutions for this wall graphic application. We're starting off with Walmart 226. This is a legacy product. Microsphere adhesive. It's great. It's removable, repositionable, and on a wall like this where it's smooth, flat, painted drywall, like this is the sweet spot for Walmart. It's nice and easy. It's repositionable. Anybody can handle this film. We use this in a lot of our demos and in our training classes for just that reason. But if we're getting into a little bit more texture, that 6mm film, that adhesive might not hold so well. So again, in our scenario, we're talking about a stippled or a textured wall in a hotel lobby, something like that. We need a film that's a little bit more conformable. And man, we can go to a gray, Aerogress, the rough mark film, more aggressive high tack removable adhesive, conformable film that's on it. Still easy install. This one's laminated because it's that 2mm cast, sort of stepping up the level of what we're doing on it. But this one's in the better category because will it work? Will it work on the texture? Absolutely. But here's the thing, it's a little bit of overkill. If our default is just to go to cast films for wall graphics on a 2-dimensional surface, will it work? Absolutely. Is it reliable? Absolutely. Is it the best? No. And that's where we step up to Walmart Canvas. This is the 229 HTR, also with that high tack removable adhesive. And the ease of that 6mm film. Don't need to laminate this one, doesn't have that extra cost or that extra step on it. And it gives that gallery wall impression with that Walmart texture, that canvas texture that's on it. So these 3, again, we're looking at good, better, best for this particular scenario. Thanks, Matt. All right, so we asked our good questions. We looked at our options, we checked the data sheets, we tested on the surface, but already before we even started putting things on the wall, we had started off with a narrowed down list of characteristics that we were looking for. And we started our search for products that would check those boxes, that would hit the requirements or would address some of the concerns that we had on the wall surface. 226 Walmart, again, great 6 mil semi-rigid matte white, 5-year interior film, 1-year clean removable. I've seen even more than that. And it's great, light texture, smooth walls, fully cured paint. Any wall that you're putting it on, don't try applying if the paint has been done in less than in less than a week from when it was painted. Just kind of asking for trouble on that stuff, but we'll cover that in another webinar as well. Better, and man, there are applications where the 885 AE Rough Mark Cast is the best solution. Like, awesome. It's got some incredible capability, but again, for this lobby graphic slight texture on the wall, it's overkill. The best, that 229 HTR, both for the installation, for the aesthetic, and for the handleability, the adhesive system on that, and the print finish is great. So what drove these choices? Surface texture eliminated the low tack and non-conformable films. 226 made the good list, honestly, really. Again, it handles that light texture, but it had that clear condition to it. High tack adhesive requirement on a long-term textured surface was the 885 AE and 229 HTR. The laminate requirement on cast film is, we talked about that in the video, that's a performance recommendation, but it's also a best practice. That cast film, you need it for handleability, but the thing to think about is that adds up quickly, that cost element, both the additional material as well as the additional time and handling that it takes in your shop to get that film laminated. And that's where that thicker, that semi-rigid film of the 229 HTR that incorporates the adhesive has the thick semi-rigid. It's on a wall that's not going to be overly abused in that lobby. That 229 HTR became the best answer on that because of those criteria. And again, we'll touch on walls and all of the applications and things that we can get into there in a future webinar. For now, I kind of want to recap on this. Questions that you position as these questions position you as a consultant versus a vendor. It's not this whole thing today, it's not a product knowledge test, right? I'm not talking about having you memorize specs or know every film in the catalog. It really is just about asking better questions consistently before you commit to the material, so that when you do make that recommendation, you can stand behind it. This, advisor, this consultant role positions you in that incredibly valuable place as a trusted advisor to your customer. Your process becomes visible and reliable. So right away, your customers see that. They see how you work. It changes the conversation from what's easiest or cheapest to what's right for the job. It's a different conversation. It's a different relationship. I say this is good practice in every conversation, right? It compounds over time. And with the customer who calls and says, I just need something for a window, right? You can walk them through, what does that mean? And while you've got them on the phone talking about what they need for that window, you can walk them through the other things that they might need, because again, you're now a consultant or a trusted advisor versus just a vendor for a window sticker. You can use this framework with the installer. You can use this for the designer who's speccing jobs they've never done before. Again, the language might shift a little bit, but the questions, that framework kind of stays the same. I'd say every job where you ask these questions teaches you something that makes the next one faster and more accurate. It's compound interest, right? Every job teaches you something that makes the next job faster. It compounds, defaults, let's say defaults just repeat, right? They're just on that endless loop. Whereas this framework, it compounds. I learn and I grow. I'm rewarded for the curiosity that I put into it. And I'd say that's the difference between building expertise and just getting lucky consistently, right? Okay, so I did put together a resource. It's attached in the chat right now. It's a printable PDF. We called it the Surface Intelligence Field Guide. It walks through these 7 questions, but more so, it kind of guides you through, all right, when I'm asking what surface am I sticking to, and I find out that I'm sticking to painted drywall, what does that mean? Where do I go from here? What does it mean with a textured wall? What does it mean if I'm applying to a vehicle? What are the sorts of products or sub questions that I need to ask underneath this main question? What changes when it's glass versus textured wall versus a vehicle? It's kind of an analog brain dump of the decision logic that we just worked through, and hopefully it's in a format that you can use. It can be at your desk, job site maybe, right? Someday I would love to turn this into an actual chat-based like automation tool that guides you through and spits out your good, better, best recommendation with why and watch out attached to it. But for now, we're starting analog. We're starting with the PDF. And I think it's a great point. Love your feedback on this as you start to use it. There are so many other resources as well. generalformulations.com/resources with technical data sheets, application guides, profiles, selection guides, and more. That's not even to mention the great GF team that we have here. Reach out through the contact us or to your GF sales rep to get a little bit more help and information on these. And the other part, I guess this is more like advertisements. The webinar teaches the process. The workshops that we do make it physical. So if today's session got you thinking about where or how to go deeper, working with real materials, real surfaces with expert guidance on install technique, surface prep, and the troubleshooting technique. That's why we put the GF training workshops together. We have beginner to intermediate level hands-on sessions that are for walls, windows, floors, that are designed for print shops and wrap shops and installers, students, project managers, you name it, who want to move from this rudimentary or this surface knowledge to actually understanding this framework and trusting it with their hands. For advanced installers, I'd say our certification program is coming soon. There will be more coming before long on the GF website. Check our social media, sign up for our newsletter as well, or send a note to training@generalformulations.com and we'll get you on the list as details come together for that. We also have another installment of the webinar series coming next month where we're talking about window graphics. As I've learned over the last several years, the options for windows aren't always clear. But we'll attempt in that to uncover some of the mysteries and some of the opportunities for window graphics next month. Again, you can register for that at generalformulations.com/training. And then I want to close with this, and it's this: know your limitations honestly. You might have to adjust your technique, your surface, or your material to stack the odds in your favor before you ever even pick up a squeegee. And this is how we do it. We do it through asking good questions and making deliberate choices. And just to be clear, it's not always use the premium product, and it's not default to what you know. It's be honest with what the job needs, what you know, what you don't know, and then learn, stay curious, and make the choice that gives the job the best chance to succeed. And that's surface intelligence. And guys, GF is here to help. We have, again, a great team, a lot of resources available to you, and we can't wait to help you be successful as what you do. We have some questions in the chat. So in Q&A, we'll drop them in there, or we will answer some as we go. And then, guys, just on the GF website, you'll find, again, in resources or at the homepage, some of the technical data sheets for all the products we talked about today, 208, 202, 223, all that, as well as application guides, selection guides, ICC profiles. If you're speccing a job and you want to go any deeper on these materials, start there or start with someone from our team. We are here to help. We can also get you samples of any of these materials. If you want to feel the difference between that 202 3.4 mil removable and a 6 mil semi-rigid cast wall film before you spec a job, reach out and we will get that material in your hand. We would love to do that. I'm actually going to switch back so that you can see me now. Yeah, like I said, if you want samples like some of the posters that we have around here, getting your hands on the material and actually testing the application is so valuable, from taking that from a cerebral or a thought or an idea and turning it into something practical. Again, really appreciate you being here today. Hope to see you next month when we talk about window graphics, and we'll go from there. Have a good day.